All worn out. Here we go. Autumn you, winter me. Flashlights in the fort make up our own sport. Every color you paint, grow up to be a mermaid. And I know the pain is real, but hope is also. And all the frozen leaves, they come down. And all the summer trees turn around. And I've watched you when you sleep. And I hope your dreams are the ones that set you free. At the park you give me wood chips that are coffee. Imagination sparked. Night light, 'cause you don't like the dark. And I know the pain is real, but hope is also. And all the summer leaves, they come down. And all the summer birds turn around. And I've watched you when you sleep. And I hope your dreams are the ones that set you free. Through every little song that you sing under your breath, you've given me a strength that can't be taken in death. I know I'm not a normal dad, but I'll give all that I have to be a small voice in your story of truth, in your vivid technicolor book of you. And all the summer birds turn around. All the frozen leaves, they come down. And I've watched you when you sleep. And I hope your dreams are the ones that set you free. And all the summer leaves, they come down. Ooh. And all the summer birds turn around. And I've watched you when you sleep. And I hope your dreams are the ones that set you free. All worn out, song 2, just enough. Here we go. Getting old, getting restless, getting names on the guest list. Wondering as I'm wondering if Cupid's arrow will ever connect with someone fun, someone funny, mischievous but also into saving money. Laughs at my bad jokes, but I do the same out of respect. Time is never on her side, but I paid the quarter and I'm here for the ride. How does a broken bird repair his wings? If I always end a love before it begins, and I will always get scared. You like me too much, just enough. All these towns, all these stages, all these far-off familiar book pages, from a man of the people to a loner at the hotel bar. All the arguments, all the history, but still I miss having someone miss me. I might be broke right now, but baby, one day I'll be a star. Time is never on our side, but I paid the quarter and I'm here for the ride. How does a broken bird repair his wings? If I always end love before it begins, now we'll always get scared. You like me too much. All that I really want is to be loved just enough. This nest of mine is safe and messy. I come, I go with no one to arrest me. Under my wings, baby, safe from thunder. And I see stars and wonder, will I fly again? Will I fly again? How does a broken bird repair his wings? If I always end love before it begins, now we'll always get scared. If you like me too much, all that I really want is to be loved just enough. Just enough. Just enough. Just enough.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out. It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about, and it's a podcast about what our guest is passionate about. We are so lucky, thrilled, excited, over the moon, losing our minds. We have the very creative, the very amazing Matty McKechnie, also known as Graven.
Hey, thanks for having me, Warren.
Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem, man. This is great. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I've seen a few friends and other people on your podcast, and it's blown up. You're going to be bigger than Tiger Belly soon enough.
That'd be cool. I mean, I'm just having fun, and like, there's so much talent and so many incredible artists right now, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm loving it, loving featuring you guys. You all have so much to give, so much to offer. That's why we've added the music part. So the first thing I want to ask you is to tell us, what were those two songs? Start with the first one.
Sure. The first one was called Autumn You, Winter Me, which is just a song about my daughter and the idea that like I'll always be kind of in a different season of life than she will, and the kind of sadness but also beauty of that. And then the other one was called Just Enough, which is kind of, I took a crack at writing a love song. I'm not a big love song person. I like to write about like geography and stories and, wordplay. But I took a crack with that one, and I do like that one, how it came. It was fun kind of writing about being on tour, and then also like, trying to find a relationship or something, or I don't even know what I'm saying right now. It's all jumble. but you know what I'm saying.
It was making me emotional, that one. It was hitting all the right chords. But what I'll say is it really reminded me of something that I don't think you necessarily were going for. And that is, it reminded me of a Dashboard Confessional, except more mature, like for grown-ups. Okay. Instead of being targeted lyrically towards like younger ladies, I find this was like a mature, grown-up version of like that, in chord structurally, and mostly is what I'm referring to. But yeah, beautiful song, really nice.
Thanks.
And I tell all the young artists on here that, obviously what's working for them is vulnerability. And it's the same thing with you. There's no, you've released 16 albums, and I'm sure you figured out a long time ago, or 16 plus releases. I'm not sure if they were all albums.
Yeah. Some singles, some EPs, whatever. But
yeah. And so like, I know you probably figured out you have to show yourself to create that connection.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, and yeah, thanks for saying that. I like being vulnerable in songs. I'm not always able to do it in real life, but there's something that comes out in song form, and it's like therapeutic for me also to be real. I've tried writing concept type stuff before where it's like a character going through something like a story, but I find the more connected you are to whatever you're doing, your art, or just trying to make it as genuine and as authentic as possible, I find that has helped me a lot, and just being like true to form or whatever that means. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think the artistry comes through really easily. Like, it's you, it's raw, the music is there. It's like I said, the chord structure could be applied in different ways maybe, but your style, your vocals, your lyrics are so powerful. Very powerful. And it's because of the honesty. It's because of the honesty in it, right? Yeah, and that's my opinion anyways. Yeah, and what was the first song called again?
The first song is called Autumn You, Winter Me.
Autumn You, Winter Me. And I think, again, the concept on that is wild.
It's sad being a dad who's 40 years older than your kid. But it's also beautiful, and I get to see these different stages of her life, and it's sort of about that, and just wishing them well, knowing that like you're going to be around for this chunk of time, whatever it is. And, none of us really know what each day is going to bring, but just sort of like trying to be in the moment of that, and like accept the sadness and the beauty of it. I'm saying sadness and beauty a lot. I guess it's a recurring theme tonight. I don't know, whatever.
That's okay. And there's something sad and beautiful about people growing up. That's just the way it is. There is something sad and beautiful about it. And because that's what nostalgia and music is like so great for, right? It brings us back to these times and places.
Totally.
How did becoming a dad all those years ago, whenever it was, how did that change you as an artist?
Yeah, 8, I guess. So my daughter just turned 8, and it's a good question. It's like, I think it just helps you to understand that being in the moment is, you're living it out right in front of you. Like, it's happening all the time. And really, like, spending quality time with your kid is about putting down your device and just like having good connection and having good conversation. And so I think that has, in terms of being an artist too, has helped me to appreciate more, just the little things. And I think before that, I still am ambitious, and I am driven, and I like to do things a certain way, but I think having a kid just helps you appreciate more that time is just going, so you really got to slow down sometimes and just be in it. And if there's like a cafe where you're only playing to 20 people and you thought it was going to be like 100 or something, you're like, hey, people came and they want to be here, and no matter what the number is, they're going to enjoy it. And I'm going to like try to give the best show that I can, and just maybe, make some new friends. Like, I love when that stuff happens. So yeah, I think it's just helped me be more cognizant, be more in the moment, and just really understand that it's all, floating away all the time. And you're just appreciating what you have, I guess.
Yeah. So let's say you're absolutely right. And I don't have kids, but I just had my kitty of 20 years pass away, and it made me like,
That's sad.
it like put me through that loop of like going back in time and reliving all of those years and just recognizing how fast they all went. And, that is the wild thing about time is
Your cat was 20?
she was 19 years, 5 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so,
Sorry.
so the little kitten now is in the other room. I'll let you see her afterwards. She's quite cute.
Perfect. Love cat.
I waited a month, but honestly, that month was really hard because my schedule was so thrown off. Like I'm used to getting up and feeding the cat, going to bed with the cat, all these different things that is like selfish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got the kitten.
Nice.
I got a good one. So like, let's say eight years from now, your daughter's like, I want to get into music. I want to be a musician.
Mhm.
You inspired me. Are you excited about that prospect? Are you happy? Do you want to help her?
Sure. Yeah. If that's what she wanted to do and she was like, I'm into music or I want to write songs or play them for people, I think that's great. Like I wouldn't discourage anyone, from just trying to seek out their passion or what they want to do. I think like I would probably be honest with her and tell her, there's probably many more things you can do to make way more money. It's like anything. You stick with something long enough, you just put in the hours, you put in the time. And I think you can't help but just get better at it and just grow and create. So if she wanted to do that, and if I played some small part in helping her to, be inspired to do that. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've heard that on podcasts, like actors getting asked that question too. And it's like, would you encourage your kids to go into it? And a lot of them are like, no, they're like, I don't want them to get involved in this world. So I think it really depends, but, I've had good experiences in music. And I think that, I think I would talk to her about how incredibly hard it is if she wanted to do it full time. But I think that, I think that people need to grow and go through all those speed bumps, all those things to process. And also that's where good songs come from too. A lot of it is about suffering and loss and pain. And so, I'd be floored if she was like, oh, you inspired me a bit. I think that'd be great.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I started off in theater and doing that type of thing and then getting into music and the entertainment world is a different place. It is, it can be, whatever, but it can also be very rewarding.
Did you find that cause you were in acting. So did you find that the acting world was pretty, hardcore?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I think they're all like each world can be, on different stratospheres can get very competitive and
music's like that too.
Music is the same, right? It's just we handle it a bit differently, I think, in music. But I mean, I'll tell you, I was like 16 driving from like Chesterville to Toronto, so like 5 hours to go do these auditions, and I would see the same people at these auditions a lot of the time. Like if I was going for a certain part and there was men going for like the men's role, I'd see all these guys in suits. And they were all like, how you doing, Jerry? How you doing, Bob? Like, they're always going for guy number 4 at the restaurant or whatever it is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm fortunate. I feel fortunate enough that when I was observing and I was picking out stuff and I was seeing the world for what it was, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And like,
it's great.
I was able to be like, I think maybe I'm going to have more fun going this way. And maybe one day I will be back in plays. I don't know, maybe one day. I mean, this is kind of back to TV roots where I did TV broadcasting. And again, highly inspired by, our alumni are guys like Tom Green, who invented the podcast or one of the main inventors,
great.
Right?
Yeah.
So all those guys, and even Norm Macdonald, who got kicked out of the program.
Dude, I'm such a huge Norm fan. I'm so glad you said that.
Right?
Massive.
Randy Dash, who was a teacher at my program, he always used to say, because he was in Norm's class, and he said Norm got kicked out because he thought harass was 2 words. And unfortunately, it's true. Norm just said whatever the hell he wanted to say, right? Without
till
any
the day he
fear.
died.
Yeah, no fear of repercussions ever. Which is what made Norm so amazing.
Made him so amazing, man. He inspired me so much. There was a long period where I don't know if you remember those early days where he had these podcasts that were super irreverent. He had like Super Dave and like Tom Green was on there too. And it's just some of that stuff. It's like, ooh, some of the jokes are so insane. But people all said this about Norm and the fact that I think Conan was saying this in an interview, but it's like Norm had his own North Star and he couldn't ever compromise that. You know, he was like, this is what's funny. And I know that this is what I have to do in this joke. It might ruffle some feathers, but it's like, I can't compromise. And that's kind of why he got kicked off SNL too. Cause they were like, no more OJ jokes. And he's like, I have to, you know?
Yeah. I think a big thing with Norm was the truth. Like, he was always going to say the truth. Like when he would go on The View and he'd start bringing up Bill Clinton hitting people with his car, you know, because it was covered up and stuff. And they'd be like losing their minds, like, no, don't say that. And then he'd bring out another thing or whatever. He was always trying to point the finger at, you know, this is wrong. I love his Germany joke. He would say, you know, about, hey, ever hear about, you know, this country went to war in World War I or World War II or whatever, and then nothing ever happened to them? That really happened, you know, and it was just like, it's like, yeah, it's true. It is true, but
so great.
He would point out the obvious, and
he said, I think it was something like, he said, yeah, you know, he's like, North Korea doesn't scare me, but he's like, Germany, they scare me on account of they went to war, not against a few countries, but the world.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the way he's saying.
Exactly. Oh, much better. Good impression. I like it. So you have a new album out as of June 30th, called Always Everything.
Yeah, man.
What was the process like recording this?
So, yeah, that's a good question. It was a little more guerrilla, a little more like homespun recording because I'd been, you know, did an album with Joel Plasket out in Nova Scotia, which was great. I love that experience. And I recorded one before that with Jim Bryson out in Stittsville. So kind of in hometown too, but in 2 studios I'd never been in before, and like was like, I'm going to get someone else to give me guidance and record it this way. So Always Everything was more me coming back to my roots and just being like, you know, I think I want to mostly play and record this on my own and just like enjoy it and enjoy the process of it. And so I recorded a lot of it at Raven Street in Ottawa, you know, that studio.
Of course.
And Tara, the recording program. So Shannon Murray,
yes,
who runs that, is great. She's an old friend. We went to the same camp. And so she was like, hey, there's some students that need to get some projects done and they need some recording time. So I kind of did this song Comforter for that, which is the lead track. And then out of that was sort of like, you know, I could piece like 7 more songs together and actually get an album that sort of fits with the theme and just go with it. And so a guy named Jacob also records there, who's a great guy, and he helped record a bunch of other tunes as well. And then but I did a lot of that album, like, okay, let's go. All right, 1 take, 2 takes, like, and I played the drums, and then I would play the bass, and I would play the piano and like the guitar. And I can't always do that stuff well, but it just, I think like over time. And it, like, yeah, again, I can't play like Beethoven. I couldn't even tell you sometimes what chords I'm playing, but it's like just finding what fits for your songs. The more you do it, you get better at being like, I think I could, you know, hit these 2 notes and this would kind of sound good here and whatever. And so, yeah, it was really fun to be all hands on for that recording and just plug away at my own speed and got it done over, I don't know, a couple of weeks or something, a couple different sessions, but it was all done pretty quick. So
yeah, amazing. I love it. And yeah, Raven Street, it's been here for quite a while, right? In the city, it's a bit of a fixture. Tara too, as a program, is a fixture.
Great program.
Wonderful people, I think, have been teachers there as well over the years that I can think of.
Yeah. Did you do the Terror program?
I did not, but my old Ginger Fox band member was in the Terror program.
Nice. Shout out Ginger Fox.
Yeah, man. And I'll tell you something funny, which is we were at the Terror program, or he was at the Terror program, and he paid to have Nick Blagona listen to some of our music.
Okay.
And
who was
like,
that?
Nick Blagona he's now recently deceased a couple of years ago, I think. But anyways, Nick was the producer for the Bee Gees and Chicago.
Okay.
and some other bands.
Big Fish.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so he was doing a thing where, you pay me $1,000 and I'll listen to your music and give you an hour session talk, blah, blah, blah. One of these things at the school. So I don't know what happened, but I don't know. Spearman says that the track that was given was not the right one, but it doesn't matter. What he said is the vocalist, that's me, needs to pull a little bit harder on his pee-pee to hit those high notes. So, I mean, that's my relation to famous Bee Gees producer. I couldn't sing like the Bee Gees. No. So I wasn't doing that. And he wasn't do that. He wasn't happy with that, Interesting. But yeah, I remember going into into Raven and just messing around recording with him when he was in the program. And
cool. That's
fun. Good place.
That's a great experience to have that, to connect with someone on that level. Cause it's sometimes you forget that, there just are kind of douchebags everywhere, but also nice people too.
Oh yes. So, it's the truth. Yeah. And sometimes douchebags are nice people.
That's true.
It just takes longer to find out.
They're douchebags masquerading as nice people.
Exactly.
Or vice versa.
There's a great song.
Yeah.
So I saw in one of the notes was that you were looking at the wonder in Canadian geography. Is that like a reoccurring thing you're looking at throughout your songs?
Yeah. I mean, I just love traveling through Canada. And I think a lot of song ideas came to me when I did 3 different tours across Canada with 2 with Ali McCormick, who's a singer-songwriter from Perth area. She's really talented, and I think she's took a hiatus, but getting back into it. And so I traveled as her guitarist, and I played my own songs, but also played on her songs too. And we went right from Ottawa all the way to BC and back twice. And I did another trip with some Western Canadian musicians, JD Edwards and our friend Trish Jameson from Whistler. And I think driving across Canada does something to you. It kind of changes you because you just see this rugged beauty. The first time you're in the prairies and you're just driving and it's so flat and just nothing in farm fields forever. And then all of a sudden you just see these mountains kind of jutting out from nowhere in Alberta. And it's wild. And then it's crazy to think that, it takes you, I think 24 hours from here to get to Winnipeg. Wow. And that is only going through one province. Ontario's really long and rocky, lots of lakes. It's a beautiful province in its own right. But then getting, it's another 24 from Winnipeg right to the coast in BC. So you're just boom, you go through those provinces quickly, and it's pretty beautiful. Yeah, it's nice.
Have you how did you figure that out? Touring across the country, did you find the right booking people, the right connections, or did you just figure that out? I mean, that's a difficult journey, in my opinion.
It is. And, a lot of those places I think that we've played at with Ali, some of them are shut down. Yep. Some of them are not there. I think she was really good at booking and she's very DIY. So she did a lot herself. And so we managed to score some great places. A lot of those tours were, I was 36 or something like that. So 12 years ago, and just kind of really getting hard into the music, but we slept anywhere, we slept on people's couches. Now I'm 48. I have a kid. I don't really want to sleep on someone's futon that much. I'll get a hotel if I have to, or I'll go in, an Airbnb, or if it's with someone who has a nice bed, I'll be I'll make a stop there, So it's all about comfort now if I can do it. But yeah, I think that everyone needs to have those experiences where you're just I'm not sure what happened, but I slept on someone's floor in Calgary, and then you just keep going. So yeah, it helps you. It gives you good material and good songs and stuff.
That's the truth, right? It's and so touring, when you go on tour, how many shows generally are you looking at doing?
Nowadays, definitely less. Because I have a kid and I don't want to be away from her for that long, I do 3-4 days. Kind of I did a week tour back in September, and there were 8 shows, I think, almost in a row, day by day by day. And that was the first time I'd done that in a long time. I'm not built for those bands, and you know them too, who do 60-day tours across the US and all that. To me, it's just too intense. And my brain wouldn't be able to handle the rapid moving from town to town. I've done it for a bit, like chunks of time with different bands. I filmed some videos for a while for like Matt Mays. I filmed some stuff with Doc Walker. And so I got experiences, but I'd be with them for like 3-4 days and then get out of there. I'm always I'm always built that way. Like I don't really want to do the like long haul through 60 different cities. I think that would make me go insane or something.
Yeah, right, exactly. And often I ask people on here, poor Brian, I asked him, if he had, if the tour had destroyed, how much the tour had affected him. And because he'd done,
Wilson?
No, sorry, I'm trying to think of Brian right now. Goodness me.
Oh, that's okay.
Stevenson.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
cool.
So he was talking about his first tour with Annihilator, and it was when he was 17 years old, and it was 70 dates, and just how it kind of destroyed him in certain ways as a young man. Like not it changed him. We'll put it that way. Not destroyed him, but it drastically changed him. That experience. So I understand what you're saying. But when you were doing like across the country, were you doing like 10 dates? Was it?
Let's see. That would have been, I think it was probably 20-ish or 25.
Oh, okay.
So long enough.
Serious.
Long enough. And it'd be like a month or a bit longer. So there were some chunks of downtime. But Allie was always good at like, she would never book like a week of shows in a row. It'd be like 2 or 3, then kind of a break, and then like 2 or 3 and maybe a break of 2 days or something. So we always had time. I think that's kind of my max for shows these days. If I play 3 in a row in 3 different towns, then I'm usually like, I need a little break for a bit, because it's just it's a lot, and it's a lot of like intensity, and you're giving of yourself, and you're like performing, you're playing, you're like, it's an emotional experience, and it can really drain you too. And as the older I get, I'm definitely introvert, extrovert right down the middle. And I feel that pull all the time. So sometimes I'm like, I love the shows, and I get energy from people, and I love that interaction. But then there's a part of me that is like, I need to go away and just be away from people for a bit. So,
I'm very similar.
Yeah?
Yeah. After a show, I'm not interested in any kind of party.
No.
And I don't think I ever was really like, and as a rocker, maybe that's a bit different, but like, and maybe it's just because I'm a vocalist, and after shows, sometimes it just feels like I've been running, and
yeah, well, you have been,
and I'd like to sit down. So sometimes it's just that way. And, I like to relax after, enjoy myself.
That's nice.
But not, I don't have the energy, I don't think, to go nutty.
It's a lot of energy, dude. And I find, like, similar to you, I've felt that way also, where the show ends and there's this big emotional drain.
Yes.
But also I find for me now, I don't know, getting older, I'm more apt to be like, maybe with a few friends or something, like, hey, do you want to hang out? Because I'll get chatty and I'll talk with people after. When the show's done, then it's like, yeah, I'll chat and hang out, maybe have a drink or 2.
Exactly.
Or whatever, maybe more. And then, but it's like before the show now, I'm very like, I don't want to talk to people. I really don't, because I just want to save it for when I get on stage and be able to perform it. Because sometimes, and you've played all these Ottawa venues we're talking about. There's not a lot of Ottawa venues that have green rooms where you can just be away from people. So you come in, you set up your show, and then people are just like, hey, and people want to talk, and that's good. You should talk to people because people are great. But sometimes it's just draining. My friend Jamie said this years ago, and he was like, I always thought having a green room was a diva thing. He's like, I thought, oh, what green room? You're such a diva. Why do you need that? And he's like, then I started getting them on different tours, and I saw like what a difference it made in my shows. And then you're like, then you actually want to hang out and talk with people after, and you're like, yeah, let's chat. What's going on?
It's good. There's certain like rules to play by depending on like what you're doing, what your goal is. So like if you're that traveling performer, then you really rely on those green rooms. Like you need them. That's it. That's all there is to it.
And it could just be a closet, right? It doesn't have to be anything extravagant.
It's a boundary.
Just a boundary.
It's a boundary that you can go into and just say, no, I'm in my boundary zone, and that's it. And so I totally get it for that. As like young artists who are, trying to open or trying to get into these things.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry about green rooms too much.
No.
But definitely you still have to set boundaries. And I mean, you can still say, we're going to interact with all the fans at the end of the show over at our merch. section, that's where we're going to be for half an hour to an hour after the show. And that's planned. You know what I mean? And you don't have to always interact before the show necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always depending on like what you're doing and what your goal is.
It's cool it's cool you interviewed the guy from Annihilator, because that makes me think like, wow, 70 shows when you're 17 years old. Like, what a rigorous thing that would be to go through at that age, just being like, I don't know what I'm doing. But see, I think maybe we're learning this through this conversation. Music can be a place where they teach you not to have boundaries, because they're like, do what we say and you'll get famous. And the only reason why they do those big tours, no big secret really, is like the 60-day multi-country tours, is because then the label can make more money, because they make more money off of each show. So I don't make record labels money, because they're like, what? He plays for 3 or 4 days and takes a break? Like, what a jerk.
Yeah, they wouldn't like that. I mean, my friends who were in Europe and they were touring, and it was like their first 25-date tour over there. And the vocalist like lost his voice at show 23 or something like that.
Brutal.
And it was like, so the band was freaking out, because they're like, we got this budget, we're banking on making 2,000 tonight and 2,000 tomorrow, and if we don't do that, then we're 4 in the hole, this and that. And I was telling them, leave him the hell alone, because he must be like, when it's gone, it's gone. When the voice leaves, I find it leaves.
Dude, totally.
And it doesn't come back till those muscles like completely relax again and rest. Exactly. So it's not easy. Touring, figuring that all out, doing that type of life, living it. I mean, you just figured out how to do it for you, how it works for you.
100%.
And that's what everyone has to do. They have to figure out how to make it work for them. And I mean, I always tell people I'd love to tour this country, but right now it just feels like it's so expensive with gas prices and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when you hear about you doing it 3 times, it's like, well, I got to get it done. I got to figure it out.
It's true.
Let's go back in time. Where were you born?
I was born here in Ottawa. I was born at the Civic, and my friend Mark Richardson and I were born on the same day, September 23rd. And in Ottawa, but I've moved around a lot. Like, I've lived in all kinds of different towns and been away for school and stuff. Was there more?
No. So, I was reading that your dad's music really influenced you. So Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers, Whitney Houston, Neil Diamond. What can you say about that era? I mean, it sounds like you were listening to a lot of great pop lyric-based stuff, like really, really strong stuff.
Yeah, like a lot of pop, a lot of country. It was just that idea of being younger, and I think my parents would, they'd have friends over from time to time. My dad always had his own accounting business, so he'd have parties usually at their place once in a while for networking and stuff, and you'd hear music coming up through the floorboards. And he also, when he would come home, I think from work when he was younger, he'd put on records and sort of sing along to them. He's always been he still sings in like a choir and stuff, but yeah, like, so I think that music, it just made me, it sort of sparked something, and it was just like, oh, this is so cool. And yeah, you'd hear the same, Lionel Richie song, like, all night long, or like Whitney Houston, How Will I Know, or something. And then like, Kenny Rogers, Gambler, and just coming up through the floorboards. And it just like evoked this emotion or feeling of like, oh, this is familiar. It's nice,
I feel like Kenny Rogers is really unique. Like, he was super special. Like, there isn't going to be like another Kenny Rogers. Very unique delivery on everything, but and like
his voice too.
Yes.
Unique. I got to see him actually play at Ottawa Jazz Fest right before he passed, I think the summer. So I think that was 2014 or 15 or something like that. Anyway, really great performance. He was walking around stage with a cane and was like funny as hell. Like, still had these wicked jokes, I think that's the thing, is like those born performers, like they just learn to be comfortable on stage over time, and they're like, a lot of them are funny. Like, it's amazing, you know. Some of these musicians I've met, like Doc Walker is a country band. I shot some videos for them years ago. They're from Winnipeg. But like when I hung out with those guys on their tour, I legit, and I'm sure you've had this with people you've met, I was like, all 5 of these guys easily could have been stand-up comedians. Like, that's how funny they were. And you're just laughing when you're around them all the time. You actually start to feel dumb because you're like, I'm laughing so much at everything they're saying. And it's just so fun, right? That's the fun part about music, is finding like, there are a lot of funny people in music, which is great.
It is quick-witted,
Yes,
and
right.
especially if, you know, people who study words and stuff like that, you know,
Yes, totally.
like I'm sure you have next level dad jokes that, you know,
Oh yeah.
will frustrate the heck out of your kid one day. But
Yeah, man.
I saw hip hop was an influence for you. So Beastie Boys, Run DMC, LL Cool J, wicked stuff. I love all that too. I mean, the wordplay in hip hop was second to none for a long time, and still pretty good depending on what you're listening
great.
to. So you've always been a lyrics guy, eh?
Yes, big time. Yeah, I think that was what early rap and hip hop influenced in me, is like, I loved the wordplay, and I loved how when they were putting down like their opponent, it wasn't ever like, you know, there wasn't much swearing in the early stuff, and there wasn't much about violence or guns. It was more like you put down your opponent with your words, and then they would give it back, and it was always this kind of fun thing. And when rap became way more about like, you know, status and money and like guns and stuff like that, I lost interest. But I mean, there still are some good new rap. I love Wu-Tang, and I love lots of people, but I love the lyrical interplay within hip hop, and just the way they could like flip songs around. And I was a really big Tribe Called Quest fan for a long time. I loved them. So love their beats. Just love their flavor, like that they brought to their own songs. And it was like this chill vibe that wasn't really around in rap before that. And it was just nice. Like they always had these great samples that they got on these old jazz records and stuff. And it was really fun. Yeah. So I'm a big lyrics guy for sure. I love words.
And did you do poetry growing up?
I did some, yeah. So I went to school for English at Guelph.
Okay.
So I got my first degree in English, and then I went back to school for journalism at Algonquin. So yeah, I was really going to be a journalist for a while. I was pretty serious, like thinking that was going to be my career. But as we all know, it's a tough landscape out there for journalists these days, and so many publications closing and shutting their doors. So I'm kind of thankful. In some ways I didn't. Like, I interned at CBC and was really like wanting to go down that road. And, but yeah, I also never got the right kind of job. Worked for a few like community newspapers and stuff, but I wanted to get into CBC, but it was always like, you know, huge lineups for jobs that are posted through them. But I you know, it wasn't the right path for me. I liked interviews. I liked the art of, you know, crafting an article. But in the end, sometimes something you would write would get totally demolished and like repieced and put together. And you're like, I didn't even write. After the editor gets through it, you're like, I didn't even write this. This is like totally different. Because they need it to sound a certain way. It's like, oh, you can't say that. You gotta, this is too subjective, whatever. So yeah, I like the fact in music, there really is no editor. You know? Other than if you're working with a producer, they might change a couple things, but for the most part, it's like, it's your voice and your own words coming through, and what you want to say just like shines out. And I love that aspect for sure.
So you're talking about working with a producer, and did you ever work with a producer where they were pushing you, where they were trying to get more out of you? Or do you find you just have a great teamwork relationship with your producers?
Like Jim Bryson produced the one album that I did with him called Years. And yeah, he put things like a different way that I had never thought about before. And I think that was 2018 or something. So about, what is that, 6 years ago, I guess? So, 6 or 7.
Yeah, 7 now.
7. Oh, 2025. Here we
Damn.
go. So, working with him was good. It was really eye-opening because he did a few things on a couple songs where he was like, Yeah. So this stretch of 20 seconds where it's just these chords playing back and forth, he's like, I don't think you don't even need that. And I'd be like, oh, it's so precious to me. I wrote it this way, but I don't, but then you would hear it. And after I would hear it back, I'd be like, oh my God, he's right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that. Like, so that was a really good way to give sort of powers to someone else and the great thing about Jim is like, he is all about making your song sound great. Like he wants your song. He's not so worried about you and your opinion. He's like, this song is great and should sound good. And I'm going to try and make it sound the best it can. So he was really good at reshaping things, but always you'd come away going, oh yeah, that made sense. But it's good. And Joel didn't produce my record, but he engineered it and he mixed it. And he's much more like, he did chop and cut a few things, but he also was very like giving. Also, I want to hear your Joel Plasket story. So he was very giving and just like, and he's just mixing it and he wasn't even supposed to play anything. He's like, this song exploded. He was just listening to it in the studio and he's mixing it all and engineering it. And then he was like, I think this song needs a guitar solo. And he's like, Thomas, his other guy works with him. He's like, just get a mic. And, he's like, and got this amp out from underneath and he just started playing it. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Joel's going to play on it. And yeah, he just played a solo on that song, one take, pretty much. It sounded awesome. And he's like, how do you like that? Was that good? And I was like, absolutely. So it was great that he's just very a giving person. He's really kind. And I want to hear your Joel Plasket story too. But yeah, he was like, he's just always been someone who, no pretentiousness, no real ego. And he will talk. I've seen him talk to anybody multiple times. Like someone will come up and ask him a gear question and he'll stand there and talk to them for 20 minutes about his setup. And just like, he loves that stuff. So he genuinely loves like talking to people about music and gear. What's your Joel story?
I would have been 16 and I had decided that I was going to get an agent in Toronto, which, I mean, I was in the country. So I asked my dad, will you drive me to Toronto for auditions? And he was like, if you really, really think it's worthwhile, then I'm going to do it. And I talked to this agent in Toronto and she said, I think maybe you're a little bit wild, but I'll do it. Like, sure, let's do it.
Cool.
So she started sending me out. So one of the auditions I would go for was like, they just told me to drool. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, like I drove 5 hours to drool on camera. And, and then they're like, hey, thanks, bye. And it was like for Casino Rama for like, to be like the popcorn boy who's bored behind, and he's drooling. So like that was the whole point. So I was learning lessons very quickly,
Yeah.
And so then one of the auditions, like I wasn't getting it really. I got like a student film. I hadn't really had any major breakthrough moments or anything like that.
Right.
I met some famous-esque people at like craft dinner commercial auditions where I was like, oh, I'm not getting this. And, because Jay Baruchel was there, right? And he's like a famous.
No way. He was there?
Yeah.
Right.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, nah, this is not happening. And, but there was an agency called Jigsaw and they kept calling me back. And so my agent was like, this is really good. The fact that they keep asking you to come in is a great thing. And I could hear them laughing at me through different auditions in the back room, giggling at me. So I knew they thought I was kind of funny. So they put me in a room with 12 other gingers, and we all looked the exact same, just varying heights, all wearing glasses, all dressed like nerds. And then they played Come On Teacher and told us Joel's song Come On Teacher and told us to dance around as nerdy as possible.
Oh, no way.
And I out-nerded everybody, and I out-danced them, and I am the nerdy one, and I did it, and I beat these 11 other gingers in this ginger nerd-off.
I love it, man.
And then I came into high school where we did the video shoot, and the director came over, and he was just like, yeah, my friends are coming in today, and they're going to be playing the roles of the bullied geeks. And so like your role, it's not really a thing anymore. So now like you're just going to be an extra. So I was a little bit brokenhearted, but like I'm an actor and I understand it's all about the team. It's not about me. And I was just thrilled to be there anyways. And being in all those scenes was a lot of fun, watching how it was done. And I'd end up going to school for TV later on for college. So it was like a valuable lesson for that and how to do a music video the proper way.
Cool, man.
And Joel was fantastic, both in like the way he was communicating with the director and us as well.
Yeah.
He was not afraid to talk to the actors or the extras, and he was super kind. He gave everybody a CD, signed it, told everybody this is like my first time.
Right.
So this is really special for me, which is great. It's a heartwarming moment, right? And you get to feel like you're helping somebody out in their artistic journey. And I had no idea that I would play music or that I would sing at this time.
Wow. Okay.
I was just a 16-year-old actor kid, and I had no idea that this would happen. And later on, you know. So I told that story in the Christina Martin episode as well, but I think that's the only other time I've ever told that one.
Cool, man. That doesn't surprise me. Joel's just always so nice to everybody. So
yeah, she says the same thing.
Yeah.
Christina Martin said the same thing. Like
Christina's
he's just
the best. Shout out to Christina.
that whole community right down there on the coast seems pretty fantastic. They all seem pretty amazing.
Yep. Yeah, definitely some lovely people in Halifax, some great musicians and artists. It's a beautiful community, man.
So you've also opened for Sloan, Winter Sleep, Elliot Brood. Do you have any favorite opening show? Moment, perhaps?
Like there's some good ones. We even last year opened for Great Lake Swimmers in Wakefield, and that was great. Like it's in the Wakefield Community Center, which I'd never been to. It holds like close to 300 people, and it was packed. And like tickets weren't, you know, they were relatively like, I don't know, I think $65 or $70, and that's like for a show, whatever. And I was like thinking, and Tom, who's playing with me, it was on a Sunday, and we're like, man, I wonder if people are going to come out to this. But Great Lake Swimmers is a good following, and it was packed. So it was great to see people loving music on a Sunday. It was like a 6 p.m. show, you know, like that was awesome, you know, playing for that many people close to my hometown. And then probably playing to about the same, like 300-ish people in Buffalo, New York, with opening for Ron Hawkins from Lowest of the Low. And he's just such a mensch, such a gentleman, and has helped me a lot, and has gave me some really good opening opportunities. So yeah, man, they're all different, and it's really fun to like appreciate those moments and just be like, you know, not every show I play is going to be like this. So you really have to just enjoy it. And pro tip, if you're going to play an opening show for a bigger band who draws a lot more than you, hang out by the merch table and talk to people. Don't just go away from the crowd, because people love coming up to new artists and they do want to talk to you. So I missed that a few times. And then at Great Lakes, I did that with Tom, and who plays with me, Tom Thompson. And yeah, it's just, it's always a great experience to open for different people. It's like you with the acting thing, you get to see how the sausage is made. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you have a podcast too. People can go listen to Graven.town if they want to. And I think you got like 76 episodes out.
I do, man. Yeah, getting close to the 100 mark. And it's just audio only on any podcast platform. And it's a lot of like me rambling sometimes, kind of like what I'm doing right now. But also I do have guests, and I've interviewed some really cool people. But yeah, I also like to just talk. And as I said, it's just audio. So you plug it in while you're, you know, driving or blending up a soup for the winter time and put it on your headphones. So yeah, it's a fun way. I think it's therapeutic for me too. Do you find that? You find this is therapeutic for you? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And like talking with people about music, about what I love it's always nice. And people can find that on Apple Music, right? They can find that.
Yeah. Graven.town is anywhere you get podcasts. So
okay.
Deezer, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Yeah.
Wicked. And that's the same for your music. If people want to listen to your music, they can find it Spotify, Apple.
Anywhere. Yeah. Graven.
Okay. And you have a website, right? graven.ca?
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah. And can people buy your music there?
They can. Yeah. There's a link, and it'll probably take you to Bandcamp, but that's where you can find all my merch. And yeah, I have new vinyl coming out for the record for Always Everything very soon. So a bunch of people pre-ordered that, which is cool. And then I'll be taking it with me through some dates coming up throughout the winter. But yeah, it's graven.ca for all your musical magical treasures.
Nice. Musical magical treasures. I love it. And a big message in your music is embrace your authentic self without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a beautiful message. It's a fantastic message. And I think that's amazing. How did you always have that as a message for many years now?
I think it came more over time, like just doing it and then thinking about, I don't know, in music, and I'm sure you've seen this too, there's so many gatekeepers and there's so many people who are like, you know, if you want to make it, you got to be cool, man. And you got to wear the jean jacket. I wear jean jackets. I love jean jackets. They're great. But, you know, it's like you got to wear a jean jacket and stand against a record case or stand on the train tracks and like get your photos this certain way. And then the band member also needs to stand in the front and the rest of the band needs to go back. And I just hate all those voices. And I like thinking about, you know, welcoming everybody in. And for me, it's like if someone is a good songwriter, or I really like their songs, then chances are I'll probably reach out and like try and do a show with you or something. And that's what is interesting to me, you know, not the like snakes in the grass and the business end of it, because a lot of that is just BS anyway. So I think, yeah, just being yourself in your music or in your art or whatever you do is so important. And I think it starts from just like finding your authentic true self, whatever that means. It starts by loving yourself, you know, and just trying to like give yourself space and like give yourself time to heal from things you've been through. And yeah, I think then it just, that message just came over time from being around like, and you know, you've been around these people too, lots of pretentious people, lots of people who have such huge egos, such huge like, you know, well, I'm way more important than you because I open for these people, whatever. And it's just so, it's all BS at the end of the day. So I think just trying to create welcoming spaces is like something that I'm into. So yeah.
I agree with you. And what's not BS is the connections that we make with people with the music.
Yeah, man.
And that's why we do it, I think.
Yeah,
and
totally.
And people get a little buzz. That's fantastic. You make a connection with the music, and that's what it's all about. It's like one of the great gifts. It's one of the great mysterious gifts of everything that totally we have it, right? Yeah. And one of the great miracles, if you want to talk about it. So, I mean, thank you so much for coming on today on to All Worn Out and talking, you know, about everything Graven.
All Worn Out.
That's right.
Thanks for having me, Warren. This has been a lot of fun, dude.
Absolutely. And where is the next place people can come see you live?
Yeah, so my next Ottawa show, probably one of my only ones for the year, is at House of Targ, March 1st. It's a Saturday with two other great acts. I'll be with my full band and Sugar Bomb, who's a great all-female band, and then Annie Martel, who's a great songwriter from Ottawa, and she'll kick off the night. And so it's just going to be a lovely sonic night, like all kinds of different sounds. And Sugar Bomb are more like a little more hard rock, and then we're kind of more folky rock, and Annie's probably more subdued, but it's going to be just great. So come on out, man.
March 1st, House of Targ?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And the next album, when's that? When do you think that's going to come out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'm going to start working on some stuff in this spring and just kind of like workshop it and take some time. But I do have a theme, have an idea for the next record and like what I want to do with it, where I'm going to record it or how I'll do that. I'm not sure yet, but I am like kind of piecing those songs together now. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you. Well, get out there and
Thanks,
support Graven. Go see him live. Listen to the music. You know how it is. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, buddy.
And
great.
Thank you out there for watching. And we'll see you all again next time on All Worn Out. Bye-bye, everybody.